We're right on the edge of the Montgomery County Cheatham County line. Farm is in total 422 acres. About 25 of that are actually in Cheatham County. My family showed up here in 1837. Very proud of that. Beef production in general was really what this farm is best suited for. Lifelong dream, farm kid all the way. Lifelong dream. My career was almost 100% spent off the farm. But I wanted to come back, and everything just broke the right way in 2010 for me to, kind of accelerate my plan and get on back and get to doing this. Our cattle are primarily balancers, crosses of Gelvish and Angus. Our Angus component comes from primarily from Red Angus. We like their docile nature, and the ones that we have, in addition to that, are smaller framed and tend to finish really well. We use heifers primarily, keep our best ones for replacements, and then maybe the lower 2/3, I'll say, of them would go into our grass-fed program, and of course some of our steers too. No surprise here, but a good plan starting out as far as the fence and water are concerned are very important. We had the advantage and the disadvantage. We were starting literally from scratch. We had all that expense, but we had all that flexibility too. And I had met at a conference Mr. Jim Garish, and he's kind of a guru. He gets credit for creating the term management intensive grazing. And I spoke with him at one of these conferences, engaged him caught him when he was coming to Nashville for a wedding, so he was I saved a little on travel expense, and he did the first layout for us of where we were going to put the fences. Wasn't a fence on the farm when we started. It had been row cropped. Had to take some old fence rows out. Many people will know, where they've grown up. We were able to saw timber out of the fence rows, which that tells you how long they've been there. And my fencer was here with his crew about 18 months to get the whole place fenced. We do have 34 paddocks in the total farm, and each one of them does have a water source of its own. People tell me that's when they look at wanting to be more intensively managed in their grazing, water access tends to be the thing. The polywire fences make that part a little easier if you don't have crazy cattle, but they gotta have some water and some shade too. And just really wanted to show you an example of the polywire that we use, the single strand. After the cattle get broken to it, one strand will hold them back, and it'll allow you to subdivide the pastures. These posts just step ends, oddly enough, and of course you put one in, put the wire over it like that, and step it in, and that holds the little fella. And the cattle respect it. Once they've been trained if they're used to electric fences, those work pretty well. We've sown the crop, sown the farm in a variety of grasses. Some natives. This we have 2 paddocks of gamma grass. This is gamma grass, and it's a clump. And this was seeded or drilled in with a corn planter in 2007, I believe, and it's been great. Of course, that would make it 10 years old, and that's about right. We like it. It really adjusts well to our temperature, not only our temperature but our soil types with a hard pan. Roots can go down as deep as, and I bet some of these are 12 feet deep. Very, very drought resistant. Cattle like it, do well on it. Cattle have already been across once. Today's May the 5th, and they've been across once. Probably need to get them out in the next day or two, which we will, and let the grass recover some. This is where it has been grazed, and that's just about right. That's where I'd like the residual to be. You can see some diversity there, a little bit of Cerisa. I see some vetch, several things that do pretty well on our ground. But we wish we had more gamma grass. This is the residual that was left from last year. So good for the soil to build the organic matter. We're just, as you can tell, we're high on gamma grass. So in addition to that, for our warm seasons, we've got Dr. Vaughn's Bermuda grass, Vaughn's Bermuda. It was sprigged, And we like that pretty well. It makes a nice base to interseed with either ryegrass, wheat, a variety of things. Can't do it every year; it'll weaken we found that it weakens the stand. Fescue, we don't. No doubt, it's not a warm season grass, but it's certainly nice on the cusps. Each way in the spring and in the fall. The low endophyte fescues were just kind of coming to the forefront when we started back in 2007. Most of there was no fescue on this farm, which is incredibly unusual for this part of Middle Tennessee. But since we knew we wanted fescue, and that variety made sense to us since we were starting from scratch. We do have the low endophyte fescue. We like it. You hear about issues with persistence. I think that comes back to maybe the overgrazing.
He thinks about it all the time. He's thinking about the grass program all the time and the program year-round. So he's always a step ahead of the cattle. Now, there's no perfect world. There are always perfect storms, though, and things come up. But he does really try to plan ahead, particularly for his winter forage program even.
We buy our hay. We test. We're pretty darn faithful on testing. In our finishing operation, we did use some alfalfa this year. We're very pleased with that just for our finishing animals. Just a group of our finishing cattle here. Probably the weight range would be from 950 to just about ready to harvest 1100. Primarily as open heifers that we've transferred from our breeding program to finish. The balancer influence is there, some Angus, but mostly balancer, so Gelvish influence as well. But again, smaller framed cattle. Again, looking for finish at about 1100, 1050 to 1200 pounds. Rebecca with the Extension Service helped us with our forage test last year. We saw we had pretty good nutrients in our gamma. And we were able to indeed to maintain a rate of gain anywhere from 1.3 to a pound to 1.5, a pound and a half. That works for us. We occasionally hear higher numbers, but honestly, I'll just say our soil's not. We haven't found the secret for going much higher than that. But we find like we get enough fat deposit to be satisfactory at that rate of gain. We're looking for a fat cover about 3/10 of an inch. And that's, gosh, when is the animal finished? I think there's a little more art to determining that with a grass finished animal. Mm-hmm. But pretty much the same thing that good cattlemen would say, oh, that animal's finished. If they were coming through a grain program, you just fat deposits, around their rump. Just the way they move, the way they move. And of course, weight, there's just no doubt. We did do early on. We did do some ultrasound. Very helpful. We just it's very time consuming.